Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Little King story playthrough. So, we've done a reasonable amount. Obviously, we beat King Shishkibabu. We've had a little run around, see what was available to us in the Right Kingdom now that we've taken it over. Just do a little bit of tidying up in general, exploring our new, bigger castle, and so on. But now what I want to do is I want to, I believe, go to Ginger, potentially. Hand in a few of those paintings. Because obviously it's been a little while since we last did that, and we should be able to get ourselves a good deal of goodies. If, you know, we speak to him, and that would be nice. So, how many extra are we handing in today? 6. Could be better, but it means we're up to 41 paintings, which ain't half bad, to be fair. And, ooh, the Pancho Poncho. That is a very helpful treasure. Because what it does is it allows your one of your citizens to regenerate their health. Which obviously means that you don't really have to send them into the hot springs, which is really nice. So I'm immediately going to go and cash that in, because... Or am I going to cash that in? No, I just wanted a quicker way to get back to the jump cannon. I honestly do not get what goes through my head sometimes. I really don't. Because sometimes you think things are going one way and then they don't. And then you're just like, you're looking back at yourself going, past me. What were you on? These things do not make logical sense. But ultimately, this part is dealing with one very specific area of the world. Because we built that bridge, and on this side of the bridge, there is a bit of land that is filled with red turnips. And basically this is the last major area that's left to take over. I mean, it's not the last. There are technically 3 remaining areas that have Guardian UMAs over them. One of them is just north of the Royal City, one of them is here, and then one of them I will potentially point out is a lot clearer once you have cleared the Red Turnip Forest. But basically the entirety of this part is going to be dealing with the Red Turnip Forest. Because it's very much a case of, right, well, let's go through the area first, pick up any holes that are there, and just generally, you know, explore, see the lay of the land, and then we can go from there. But ultimately, what is going to happen by the end of this part is we're going to be taking on the Guardian UMA of the area. And it can either be one of the easiest fights in the game, where you lose absolutely nobody, or it can be one of the toughest fights in the game, and you're probably going to lose potentially everybody. How my run goes, you will have to wait and see, but it's going to be an interesting one, let's put it that way. So there's pretty much nothing we can do up that way, so that is all well and good. Might as well pick up our party, because obviously we lost them for a second there down the cliff. And yeah, let's just take on these Radeezes, and thankfully they're a lot easier to deal with now that we've got hardened soldiers, because they just go down pretty quickly in the grand scheme of things. And if you wanted to know where that final area that is guarded by a Guardian UMA is, it's just off to the west. Yes. you should be able to see like a massive crystal. I believe it's somewhere around here. You probably just spotted it in the distance at one point while the camera was swilling around. Yes, there it is. So that little area there, that is also guarded by a Guardian UMA. So before we even think about taking on any of the next kings, which means obviously we've got to go do a bit more exploring because we need to get through Boney Tunnel, we need to explore the skull plains that were mentioned, because that's another quite big area. It's basically, there's a whole lot of stuff to do, and really, we need to be doing it. But thankfully, we should be moving at a much greater pace than we were when we were dealing with the period between the Omni King and King of Rock. Because, yeah, it should just move quite a bit more smoothly. At least I hope so, anyway. There's certainly a greater variety of new things going on, which I'm very, very grateful for. Yes, RP002. Mentioning turnips and, yes, it's bringing back the nightmares that I'm certain await me. But first, deal with these Radeezes and then we'll be fine. As you can probably guess, the Guardian UMA for this area is that massive red turnip that is just sitting, well, that massive red radish, because, you know, they're Radeezes, not turnips, but they are sort of turnips because they're of the same ilk as the turnip heads. It's all a little bit confusing, but that massive one in the centre of that area, we can't actually do anything to, which is a little bit frustrating. But obviously I think it tells you that's probably gonna be where our Guardian UMA boss fight is going to take place. But pretty much this is going to be the end of our exploration for the day. That'll be a case of going back, cashing in, and getting the party that we need. Because pretty much what is the optimum party for taking on the Guardian UMA that we're about to take on? It's making use of lots and lots of hunters. I think the specific number that's recommended is 13 hunters. I might be wrong in that, but you do not want a huge party, because of a very specific reason, which I'll get into once the fight actually begins. But, yeah, I'm going to get terrified out my wits soon enough. But first, let us cash up, see what we can get our hands on. Probably also need to potentially make sure I have enough money to train up some more animal hunters, because I don't think I quite have enough to make a huge team. We'll just have to see how this all pans out, won't we?
Yes, sir.
And, oh! We have new quests as well. But first off, the important thing... Let's... Ooh! We can actually finish off the Royal City. Oh my god. I have been waiting for this day for so long. Oh, it feels so good. It feels so very good. that the Royal City is finally complete. And now I think, now it's time to go try and train up as many hunters as is physically possible.
Yes, sir.
So it's probably worthwhile that we try and find the... well, try and see how many animal hunters we have. So I think it's about 8 or so. And then what we need to do is we need to grab the careless adults who have a reasonable amount of health. I mean, really, it doesn't entirely matter. I think I'm just going to go in and just randomly pick up people, because why the hell not?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, at this point, I could just pick up a team of however many I liked, but 7 is going to do it. So, yeah, I think I was right with saying that what's recommended is a team of 13 animal hunters for the fight that we are about to do.
Yes, sir.
And, oh, we're just going to be short, aren't we? Gosh darn it. I mean, to be fair, I could try and find stuff to make up that last batch, but it's probably not going to be worth it in the grand scheme of things. The main thing is, let's go either go straight to sleep, or we will pick up the quest first. Okay, go to bed, pick up the quest in the morning. That'll make me feel better. Then it feels like we'll have started the day on a strong motive. Like, we will have a goal, and by the end of the day, this goal will hopefully have been completed. And we'll just have to see how the fight itself pans out.
Yes, sir.
But, yes, we want to take on the deadly red turnip rumour. And, it's not going to be pleasant, shall we say. So we need to go, and we need to make sure that our team is full of animal hunters. You don't want too many, but you certainly want enough to have pretty much enough team members to deal with things. And also what's really annoying is that... oh good. So, our trump card team is basically, well, all of our animal hunters, plus our chef. I mean, gourmet cook. I can never remember the names of all these warriors, and also it seems to include our merchant as well. So that's not really very helpful to me. It's like I want to be able to separate them. It's the one thing that's perhaps ever so slightly frustrating about the podium, is really to get the best possible thing out of what you're dealing with. i.e. getting the optimum party, you kind of have to go into the specifics of your citizens. Well, pretty much just pulling together like the battle team, or the cultivation team, or the carefree team, etc. don't necessarily help you out all too much. But oh well, I suppose worse could happen. But either way, with our team of 14 animal hunters, we're going to go and take on this deadly red turnip. And, I'm not looking forward to this fight one bit. Because the deadly red turnip that we're going to face has one of the most devastating moves the game could possibly throw at us. I mean, I'm so happy to be hearing the William Tell Overture again, but this giant Radeeze, I mean, it's just called a Radeeze, but it's a giant one. It's terrifying. Because what it can do is that if it manages to hit any of your soldiers, it doesn't matter what, it will turn them into a turnip head. Meaning they will instantly die, and you will lose them, and there is no way to save them from this at all. So that also means that you're going to end up with you're going to get an increase in enemies as the fight progresses. And also you have this awful thing of them having to go and try and dig up the big red Radeeze, and that's just a pain. And also the turnip heads are going to try and kill you once they appear, so it's a fight where you really have to master the hit and run tactic, because you have very little time in which to cause much damage to him before you have got to leg it. The optimum strategy, I think, is to try and get him stuck on the fence that is just up here, because essentially you can get him caught in a loop, which means that really you shouldn't lose anybody in this fight, but as I said, unless you know exactly the location where it's best to go, you're really potentially going to struggle, because he's just going to keep running. And he's going to keep killing your animal hunters, and this is why you want a smaller party, because it means that it's much easier to escape and to run about, and that's very helpful. Now I believe it's around here that's probably the best area to try and get out the way of the Radeeze, because you can run away so far and then he's going to slowly walk back to where he's just going to sit down. Eventually. And that's great, but if you leave it too long, then he's going to settle in, and then obviously you're going to have the whole thing of having to try and dig him out. And yeah, this is really not going very well for me. Not in the slightest. We started with 14 animal hunters, and we are already down to 5, and we've only gotten rid of half his health, which certainly is not very good, if you ask me. And also we've got into the Radeeze's more difficult phase. Yes, you heard me right, he has a more difficult phase, because once you've gotten rid of half of his health, he's going to start doing this teleport leap move, which can really badly catch you off guard. So you have to be so careful during this fight, otherwise you're very likely to lose a lot of your team. Obviously I'm going to have to do quite a bit of picking up at the beach in the morning, because I've basically lost most of my team. But as long as we kill the Radeeze, I will be happy. But I'm sure you can tell that my heart was just pounding right now, because it was like, oh my god, this is not going well, not in the slightest. And then it was just like, oh, he's pulling that move off. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way! I mean, pretty much this is the type of fight that I don't do well at, because I'm a little bit too reckless. So, it's because I am primarily an action gamer, I think. So while I'm okay with being patient every now and again, it doesn't happen all that regularly. I like having big, fast-paced action sequences. I also like having the time to settle and to know exactly what I'm doing, have a plan of action in how I'm going to attack. But I just like to roll with things rather than making a major strategy. It's probably why I've never really done well at proper fighting games, because I'm not really quite so on it, shall we say, when it comes to having those strategies and learning the entire ins and outs of a game. I can learn some of it, as long as it will put me in decent stead, but there comes a point where it just becomes a little bit ridiculous. And also, oh dear, we only have 30 arrows left. This is not going to end well, I suspect. I mean, we are so close. I'm very proud that I've managed to not lose a single hunter since, you know, the big murder session that took place. But obviously, it's getting really, really, really close, and I'm potentially just going to get even more reckless, especially as, you know, we are now down to no arrows whatsoever. So I've now got to send in my hunters to do actual hand-to-hand combat, and I now have a grand total of 1 animal hunter left to me. Joy of joys! I started with 14, it was going so well, and then just got absolutely decimated, and I'm so close to killing him. Like, just look at that sliver of health.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And also, just yeah, at this point I think I was just ready for this fight to be over. But unfortunately, the animal hunters aren't very good at hand-to-hand combat, so they really don't do that much damage. But, oh come on, I'm so very nearly there. Just let me kill him. Please. For the love of God, just die. At least let me have my victory. Don't let everybody's deaths be in vain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now come on, Radeeze, this is getting ridiculous. Just bloody die already. Oh, thank God for that. So with my 1 animal hunter remaining, the damn thing is dead. Thank God. So, we've freed another little bit of the world, and we are free to expand. Brilliant! Unfortunately, we lost far too many people in that fight, but oh well! Let's see what we've won and bring everybody back from the dead tomorrow.